Have you ever noticed how the people who seem most at peace are the hardest to reach? How the ones you respect most aren't constantly responding to every text, attending every event, or saying yes to every request? There's something different about people who've learned to protect their energy. They move through the world with a quiet confidence that draws others in rather than pushes them away. That restlessness you feel when you're constantly available to everyone else, that's not anxiety. It's your inner wisdom telling you something needs to shift. If you're watching this right now, you're ready to understand why stepping back is actually the most powerful thing you can do. In the next few minutes, I'm going to show you exactly why being less available makes you more valuable, not just to others, but to yourself. You'll discover how this one shift in your boundaries changes every relationship you have, and why the people who matter most will respect you more, not less. What most people call being nice is actually a form of self-abandonment disguised as kindness. Think about it this way. When you're available to everyone else's needs, emotions, and demands at any moment, you're essentially telling the world that your time, energy, and peace of mind have no value. You've become like a 24-hour convenience store for other people's problems, always open, always stocked, never closed for maintenance. This happens because somewhere along the way, you learned that your worth was tied to your usefulness. Maybe it was family dynamics, maybe it was social conditioning. But you started believing that saying no meant being selfish, that having boundaries meant being mean. But here's what I've noticed about people who command genuine respect. They understand that their presence is a gift, not a given. They know that when they show up fully, because they've preserved the energy to actually be present rather than running on fumes from overcommitting. When you stop being available to everything, you become truly available to what matters. Your relationships deepen because people start valuing the time they get with you instead of taking it for granted. And this is just the beginning of how everything shifts. If you're still here, you already understand something most people miss, that there's a difference between being kind and being depleted. Most people will keep saying yes until they burn out, but you're different. You're ready to see how protecting your energy actually makes you more loving, not less. What I'm about to share next changes everything about how you show up in the world. If this is resonating with you, please subscribe. It really helps me continue sharing these deeper insights with you. Here's what happens on a deeper level when you stop being constantly available. You create what I call energetic scarcity. In economics, scarcity increases value. When something is rare or limited, people appreciate it more. The same principle applies to your presence and attention. When you're always available, your attention becomes cheap. People interrupt you mid-sentence, expect immediate responses, and treat your time as less valuable than their convenience. But when you start saying, "I'm not available right now," or "let me get back to you tomorrow," something shifts in how people perceive and treat you. They start planning conversations instead of dumping their problems on you impulsively. They begin to consider whether their request is actually important before reaching out. And here's what becomes clear. Most of the things people wanted from you weren't urgent. They were just easy for them to ask for because you made yourself so accessible. This isn't about being cold or uncaring. It's about recognizing that your calm, centered presence is actually more valuable than your stressed, overwhelmed availability. When you preserve your energy, you show up as your best self for the moments and people that truly matter. In this space, something remarkable happens to your relationships. Take a moment and think about the last time someone really showed up for you, not just physically, but energetically. They were present, focused, calm. How did that feel compared to someone who was there but distracted, tired, or scattered? Now imagine being that centered presence for others. Picture yourself moving through conversations without the underlying exhaustion of being everyone's emotional support system, without the mental clutter of a dozen unfinished requests weighing on your mind. If you tried that visualization, you probably felt a sense of relief. Whether you felt that relief or not, here's what's happening on a neurological level when you create healthy unavailability. Your nervous system finally gets to regulate itself. When you're constantly available, your brain stays in a low-level state of alertness, always ready to respond to the next request, text, or demand. It's like having 20 browser tabs open. Everything runs slower. Nothing gets your full attention. And eventually, the whole system starts to lag. But when you create periods of unavailability, your nervous system shifts into what researchers call rest and digest mode. This is where healing happens, where creativity emerges, where you actually process your own thoughts and feelings instead of just managing everyone else's. The people who've mastered this understand something crucial. Being unreachable for periods of time isn't selfish. It's necessary maintenance. Just like your phone needs to charge, your mental and emotional capacity needs time to restore. And here's what's beautiful about this. When you stop being available to everyone's immediate wants, you become more available to their genuine needs. You can show up with clarity instead of chaos, with intention instead of reaction. I know this might feel uncomfortable at first, especially if you've built your identity around being the person everyone can count on. The fact that you're still processing this shows you're ready for the practical part. Here's exactly how to start implementing healthy unavailability without feeling guilty or losing important connections. Start with what I call micro boundaries. Instead of diving straight into big changes, begin with small pockets of unavailability. Turn your phone face down during meals. Wait an hour before responding to non-urgent texts. Say, "Let me check my schedule and get back to you," instead of immediately saying yes to requests. Notice what comes up when you do this. You might feel anxiety, guilt, or worry that people will be upset. That's normal. You're retraining both yourself and others about how you show up in the world. Here's the key. When you do engage, be fully present. If someone had to wait for your response, make that response count. Give them your complete attention instead of half-hearted multitasking. Within just a few days, you'll start noticing that people approach you differently. They'll think before they ask, instead of asking before they think. Your conversations will have more depth because people know they have your genuine attention when they get it. This is just the foundation. Once you master these micro-boundaries, there's a deeper level where you start attracting different types of interactions entirely. Over the next week, you'll start noticing how much mental space opens up when you're not constantly managing other people's immediate needs. You'll find yourself naturally becoming more selective about where you invest your energy. And surprisingly, people will begin to respect and value you more, not less. Change happens in layers, not overnight. Every time you pause before automatically saying yes, you're rewiring patterns that may have been running your life for years. Your willingness to explore this already puts you ahead of most people who never question whether being constantly available is actually serving anyone. If this resonated with you, you're exactly the kind of person who's ready to reclaim their energy and transform their relationships. If you found value in this perspective, subscribe for more insights on creating the calm, centered life you deserve. And let me know in the comments, what's one boundary you're ready to start setting today?